Hi everyone, welcome to the new episode of Peter's English podcast. Today is very is today is very important holiday in Czechia and Slovakia because today is because today is Independence Day and of the first Czechoslovakia. And in this episode, I want to talk about the first Czechoslovakia. The first Czechoslovakia was created 28th of October 1918 after the end of the first after the end of the first war after the end of the first war, Czechs and Slovaks wanted to live together in independent state because they live in the Austria and Hungary empire. In that they couldn't use their language, and they couldn't live in the democracy, and both nationalities were under politic repressions, because in the Austria was the most important language German, and in Hungary was only the one nationality, Hungary, and the Hungary language. Slovaks and Czechs political group wanted to do independence from Austria-Hungary, and the leaders was Tomáš Garrigue Masaryk, who was a Czech philosopher and politician, and the second leader was Edvard Beneš, and Slovak Milan Rastislav Štěpánik. Czechs and Slovaks wanted to live together in the free democratic states, in that they can free use their own languages, and the first important thing was Pittsburgh's agreement between Czechs and Slovaks. This agreement were signed 31st of May 1918 in Pittsburgh. This agreement was important for Czechs and for Slovakia because Slovaks could have their own their own autonomy. The other states like France, the UK, the United States agreed with the creating of the first Czechoslovakia because they were thinking that Czechoslovakia would be their partner, and later it was true. The first president of Czechoslovakia was Tomáš Garrigue Masaryk, because because he was the father of the first of the first Czechoslovakia, and his big dream was to creating a free democratic state. Czechoslovakia was very important uh, after the end of the first war, and before the start the second war, because Czechoslovakia was a free democratic state, and Czechoslovakia was stable state in that the people live in the freedom together in democracy, and that and every nation could use their free their own language. Czechoslovakia was parliamentary democracy, in that the most important things were freedom, equality, and justice. Very important things were the free general election. Thanks to it, people could vote for the members of could free vote for the members of the parliament and president. The parliament has the parliament had senate and parliament. The senators and the members of parliament were voted in the free general elections, and parliament was the most important in the Czechoslovakia, because only the parliament could create the law in Czechoslovakia. The citizens of Czechoslovakia could had free voting. They could free politically talk about everything. Then they could organize protests, strikes, and they could go everywhere. Czechoslovakia was very modern democratic state because it was democratic state in that was rights and and freedom was very was very protected. Other nation in the Czechoslovakia lived Germans, Hungaries, and other nations. They could live free. They could. No, I'm sorry, people. They could use their language for free, and they could live free in the modern democratic state. Czechoslovakia was free. It was free democratic state, and a strong partner for other democratic states in the Europe. The big economic crash in the 30s wasn't very good for Czechoslovakia, because Czechoslovakia had economic problems, but they wanted to protect their democracy and freedom, and Czechoslovakia was very successful in that. Czechoslovakia had been working after the creating of Czechoslovakia under the Munich Agreement in 1948. In that agreement, Czechoslovakia has to given Sudeten Nazi Germany and democracy in Czechoslovakia ended in March 1939, when Nazi Germany started to occupy Czechia, and Slovakia was totalitarian Nazi state. It was a puppet state under the control of Nazi Germany. And this is the end of my episode. I wanted to create this episode because today is very important day for independence, because today was created our first really democratic state, in that people could free use their own language. They could live free. They could free politically talk about everything. They could do protests. They could do strikes for free. They could creating their own political groups for free. People could vote in free general election. This was very good, and the life was very good for the both stations, and of course for the other stations too, because other stations could use their language, and the other nations could use their culture too. And this is the end of this episode. I want to tell you bye bye.